In the heart of Harlem, where dreams decay faster than brick and rain never washes away the sin, there walks a girl who has already seen the end of the world. Her name is Precious, 16 years old, heavy with a secret that feels older than time. She moves through the streets like a ghost in her own story. The lights flicker, the air is cold, and even the moon seems too ashamed to shine upon her. The walls of her home whisper in rot and resentment. The wallpaper peels like old wounds, and the air tastes of smoke and despair. Here, mothers do not cradle, they curse. Fathers do not guide, they haunt. Her mother sits in the corner, a creature of fury and hunger, eyes yellowed by resentment, voice sharp as glass. She devours Precious's spirit day by day, feeding on the power of control. Every slap, every insult, every silence becomes a hymn to hopelessness. And yet, Precious endures. She does not understand why. Perhaps survival itself is an instinct older than love. In her small world, there is no space for laughter, only the rhythmic beating of pain, the thud of fists, the crash of dishes, the muffled cries behind a locked door. Her father's shadow looms, an unspeakable violation that has made her both victim and mother again and again. Her belly swells with his sin, and no one comes to save her. The city keeps moving. The world keeps eating. But somewhere, beneath all that rubble of horror, something inside Precious flickers. A word, a thought, a rebellion too quiet for anyone to hear. She dreams, not of happiness, that is too distant, but of understanding, of reading, of writing her name and believing it matters. She walks into an alternative school called Each One Teach One. The building is cracked, dim, forgotten, yet within those walls glows something holy. Ms. Rain stands there, tall and calm, her voice low like a prayer that survived a storm. She does not pity Precious. She sees her. That simple act is revolutionary. For a girl used to being invisible, sight itself is salvation. In Ms. Rain's class, Precious opens a notebook for the first time. Her handwriting stumbles, crooked letters, uncertain lines. But every word is blood, every sentence is resurrection. The act of writing feels like dragging herself out of the grave one letter at a time. She writes about pain, she writes about hunger, she writes about being unloved, and as she writes, the letters begin to shine. They become a language of ghosts and wounds and courage. In that small spiral notebook, Precious starts to build a new world. A world where she is not an object, not a victim, not a mistake, but a voice. The others in the classroom are broken too. Girls with eyes that have seen too much, mothers at 15, survivors of things they cannot name. But together in that fragile room, they create something powerful, a chorus of the condemned, learning to sing. Yet outside those walls, the darkness still waits. Her mother still lurks, a grotesque queen of rage, envious that her daughter dares to rise. There is a moment, an unforgettable confrontation, when Precious demands to be seen. Her mother's confession spills out like venom, twisted by guilt and madness. She admits to knowing everything, to letting it happen, to feeding her own emptiness by destroying her child's. The revelation is unbearable, a gothic climax drenched in emotional blood. But Precious does not break. She stands trembling, tears burning her skin, and she turns away. This is her exorcism, the moment she leaves her ghosts behind. She walks out of that apartment, carrying her baby, her notebook, and the fragile dawn of a new beginning. The city greets her not with comfort, but with cold indifference. Still, it feels different now. The same grey streets that once swallowed her now seem to whisper back. The cold wind becomes a baptism. The light of dawn, thin, hesitant, becomes a promise. She walks to the shelter, her notebook pressed to her chest. She writes through the night, every word a spell against silence. "Dear God, it's me, Precious," she writes, though she does not believe in God. But if you, there, you listening, I'm still here. I'm still learning. Her world remains heavy, her struggles endless. But she no longer belongs entirely to her suffering. Literacy becomes her escape hatch, her rebellion. She begins to read poems, stories, other voices who once crawled through the same darkness. She learns that survival itself is an art. Through her words, she transforms shame into story, horror into history, and that transformation is the heart of Sapphire's Gothic masterpiece. The world around Precious is decayed, cruel and monstrous, but within her, something divine rises. The light she creates does not erase the dark, it shapes it. The Gothic truth of Push is not in its tragedy, but in its defiance. It is the voice of the forsaken demanding to be heard. It is the story of a girl learning to write herself free from a curse centuries old, a curse of silence, ignorance, and invisibility. And so, as the final pages turn, Precious stands before us not as a victim, but as a saint of the broken. Her body bears the marks of violence, but her soul writes back. Her pen replaces the blade. Her journal becomes her cathedral. Each word she writes resurrects a little piece of her soul. The darkness does not vanish. It never does, but it bows before her endurance. She has become her own light. The final image lingers. Precious at a worn wooden table, candlelight trembling beside her, her baby asleep nearby. The city hums outside, uncaring. But inside that small room, a miracle unfolds. She turns another page, ink smudged on her fingers, whispering softly to her child, "We gonna learn, baby. We gonna live." And with those words, the world shifts just slightly, just enough to let the light in. The candle burns, the darkness bends, and the story of Precious, carved in pain and courage, continues to echo through the silence.